Welcome back to the ABCs of Apologetics, and today is B. B is for Bible. And the Bible is, to no surprise, something that apologetics will reference often and or point to as a source of knowledge. Some don't, but most do. Debates like did Jesus rise from the dead are impossible for the theist to conduct without the Gospels. The skeptic is, of course, skeptical about the Bible, its history, what archaeological evidence there is to support any of the people or places, what history was written outside of the Bible that can confirm any of it as true. And it gets worse when we look at the Torah, the Jewish Bible called the Old Testament, and find that several of its passages have been altered. Then we have the issue of doctrine, the fancy word for teaching. Whose doctrine is correct? One apologetic page says that this is a non-issue at all, trying to switch the problem of differences of type of church and differences of belief, saying that you can't know for sure, switching and moving the goalposts, and finally ending that what matters is what they have in common, but that isn't much. Rather than demonstrate his side, he shifts the burden to the critics to clarify the issue for him. Still, the issue stands, even if there was only two doctrines. Which one is right? The problem is thus, both use the Bible as a source of their teachings, and both claim that they have the right interpretation, and that the other one is getting it wrong. But what system are they using to determine who is right? No system that I am aware of. We could, of course, focus on asking them to prove that the Bible is true, but this typically results in circular reasoning and comments like, the Bible says it, and that settles it. Pointing out the numerous contradictions the Bible has does nothing to sway the view of most Christians, and far less for the apologetics, who typically sweep away this as a non-issue. The Bible itself is published by, if not all, anonymous authors, mostly anonymous authors, during a very superstitious time when ideas of God were plentiful. It's only survived as long as it has because it's changed over time. So what about the numerous versions of the Bible itself? There's at least 50 versions of the Bible, according to one apologetic page, although Wikipedia has far more listed. The page goes on to try to make light of this issue, and makes claims without any sources to back up those claims. We should not be surprised by this. Most apologetic pages do not cite sources for their statements. Here's an example. Quote, "There are over 14,000 manuscript copies of the New Testament." End quote. Really? Where? You know what would be great right now? A citation of where that number is coming from. A bit of deeper digging on my part revealed some parts and fragments that I suppose could add up to about 14,000, but the numbers are still really rather low. But do the numbers of manuscripts really matter, or is this just an appeal to numbers? Perhaps it does have a lot of copies, but that does not make the stories any more true. When we compare something that can be unreliable, like Wikipedia, and something even more unreliable, like an apologetic page, we can still see very low numbers. And we still do not see why those numbers matter. Quantity does not mean anything more than people really liked writing this story. It was part of their religion to do so, perhaps. Some more critical questions to ponder. Given the vast differences of Bible translations and vast amount of doctrines to choose from, how can anyone know they are choosing the correct version of Christianity to follow? Why are there contradictions in the Bible, and why is it that some apologetics try to say that there are not? What happened at the Council of Nicaea, and who decided the canon? These issues seem to pile higher and higher, as we have apologetic pages claiming one thing, other pages claiming other things, and what is there to do but to be skeptical about all of it until some system can be made to sort all of this out? Of course, so far no such system has been produced by any theologian or apologetics. although some apologetics claim to have solved the issues. Responding with circular reasoning as a response to the Bible when it's brought up, perhaps some of these ideas in this video will help you to make an even larger argument against the Bible. Because logic, although I love it and care very much about it, is something that, as far as I'm aware, no apologetic page bothers to even attempt to try to teach the sheeple that read it. So this too falls upon our shoulders to teach them. So circular reasoning to them has no meaning. You have to explain it, and then explain why the Bible is circular, and then explain why it's wrong, and then maybe pieces of this video or parts of this video will help you to begin to do so. At any rate, I'll see you next time in Color B. Wait, what? Whose doctrine is correct? One apologetic